What is up, guys? Team UFIS here with another video, and of course we have another deck profile. You guys already know the drill. So before we jump into this, if you guys are not already subscribed, make sure you smash that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and obviously give the video a thumbs up. It's always much appreciated. But today we're taking a look at a deck that always seems to be popular on my channel. Everyone always likes my list, so I figured I'd post one since I haven't posted one in a while. We're going to take a look at some Sky Striker. All right, so Sky Striker, definitely a deck that hasn't been seeing as much play lately. I think that it should, though, because this deck really plays through most of the meta currently. So I just think that overall it's something worth playing and something that kind of hard counters almost everything that's being played right now. So that's kind of the cool part. So we're going to go ahead and hop into the main deck first and try and explain everything to the best of my ability. I have the best normal summon in a very long time, if not in the entire game's inception. Ray is just such a good card. Being able to just completely disregard any kind of targeting effect that your opponent has by chaining her effect to tribute her is fantastic. This card overall is just a very, very strong card. Got to play 3 of it. I don't know any striker deck that doesn't. If they aren't playing 3, that just would not be good. Then we have 2 Rose. Rose essentially is here not only as an extender, but the cool thing is it does out Dragoon. That's actually pretty important, being able to out Dragoon, because we all know how pesky Dragoon can be. So Rose does that, and additionally, it's just another striker monster to use for your link summoning. Then the other summonable monster that we play is 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Normally you guys see this card in my side deck. However, seeing we are blinding second, we actually play Pankratops in the main deck because this card is crazy. It's a 2-for-1, if not more than that, depending on how far you extend, which is really, really powerful. But then we play some hand traps too. It's actually not as many hand traps as you'd think. We have the 3 Ash to start, and then we have the 3 Skullmeister. I think that for monsters that this is pretty solid. There are a lot of graveyard effects, so Skullmeister is extremely relevant. If you want to play DD Crow or Bell, go for it, but I think that Skullmeister is significantly better. This card is just super powerful, and not as many people really plan to play against it. It just hurts a lot of decks. It really does. And then the other hand trap that we are playing is 3 Imperm. So I'm not playing Veiler. I didn't want to do the Selene Hulk Vibrax combo. I felt like Veiler wasn't as good, and I wanted to play more cards that I was able to like set on the field. And Imperm does that. If your opponent forces you to go first, then at least you can play with Imperms in your back row, and then they'll try and like get rid of it, and you'll probably have some sort of out. So I like Imperm for that reason. So 9 hand traps. The rest of the deck is spell cards. So we have a lot of spell cards, that like a ridiculously large amount of spell cards, because let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 15 non-spell cards. So we have 25 spell cards that we're playing. That's a pretty good amount. So let's start with the striker ones. We have 3 Widow Anchor, because this is currently the best Sky Striker spell card, other than multi-roll, but we're not getting multi-roll back to more than 1, unfortunately. So you have to just settle for the 1. But Widow Anchor, being able to steal cards, is fantastic. Then the other one that we play 3 of is Shark Cannon. Some people play 2. I think that in the current state of the meta, with there being so many graveyard decks, that this card is extremely important. Whether you're banishing or summoning to your field, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. If you are summoning to your field, it's probably to link climb and really beat your opponent down. Then the 2 ofs, we have 2 Afterburners. Just a good card overall. I don't feel like there's much to say. I don't play Jamming Waves at all. I just didn't like Jamming Waves that much, to be honest. So I opted to go with other cards for removal. But 2 of the Afterburners. Then we have 2 Area 0, because 3 isn't necessary. It's just not something that we need. 3 doesn't like do much other than clog your deck up. There are some times where I want to play 1 of this card, but I know that like you have to play 2. It's just that sometimes you draw multiples and it sucks, but typically speaking, you're just going to draw 1 at most, which if you open the 1 with a multi-roll, then it's even better. Speaking of multi-roll, though, we do play, of course, the 1 multi-roll. I don't know why we wouldn't play it. Being able to reset your Sky Striker spells in addition to making them unable to be negated or basically chained to is pretty fantastic. Then we have a Hornet Drone, which I think this card can go back to more than 1. That's just my opinion. There are plenty of people who would argue differently, but I think this card is more than fair now. It can go to like 2 or 3. Probably 3 because 2 is a useless spot in the ban list. Go ahead and try and prove me wrong. You can't because 2 is useless. And everyone says, what about Malicious? Malicious can be at 3. Tell me how many times heroes are topping lately. Anyways, the last Sky Striker spell that we play is an Eagle Booster. This does come up somewhat frequently. There are games where you just search this off of like Shizuku in the end phase, and then you use it, and then you can just reset any of your striker spells that you have in grave. So Eagle Boosters does come up. It's also just really good to kind of prevent some of your striker stuff from being eliminated off the field. So I actually like Eagle Boosters, pretty good. Then the non-Sky Striker spell cards, we have 3 Cosmic Cyclone because we want to get rid of back row, and we don't want our opponent to play fun games with their back row. So we opt to eliminate the back row as quickly as possible, and Cyclone definitely does the job. Even against like Dragon Link, you can hit the Dragon Maid Trap, or you can hit Boot Sector Launch. So that's actually very relevant. Then we have 3 Pot of Desires. Not playing Prosperity in this deck. I don't think Prosperity is good in this deck at all. I think you're better off just playing the Desires and drawing 2 cards rather than losing like your Striker Link monsters to Prosperity. So we'll just stick with the dualities, or Desires, I'm sorry. Then, of course, we play everybody's favorite card, 2 Mystic Mine, followed by a 3rd Mystic Mine and 4th Mystic Mine. Or Erase Zeros, whatever way you want to look at it. So I think that this is completely necessary. Basically, you can bait out your opponent's negations, then you make a mine, and then you just watch your opponent sit there and struggle in at least game 1, where they probably don't have the main deck out for your mine, and if they do, I'd be very surprised. So I think that this is actually a really good lineup. It's been working out fantastically so far in testing. Then the last 2 cards that I play, they're just one-ofs. We have 1 copy of Rhoda because Rhoda's Rhoda. It's another copy of Ray or Rose, whatever you need. And then we play 1 Upstart Goblin because why not play 39 cards? Seems like a pretty good idea. Upstart is just too good not to play in this deck. Gets you deeper into the deck in addition to putting another spell in grave, which is crazy. But that is the main deck. We're going to go ahead and hop on over to the extra deck and see how that's looking. All right, so the extra deck is... it's not anything super spicy. I think that the fact that I'm not playing like the Veiler and Helga Firebrax combo, people are going to be like, huh, that's a little strange. But I just didn't find it necessary. It's nothing against the combo. I think it works, but let's take a look at what my my Striker extra deck looks like. So, of course, we have 3 Kagari because it's the best Sky Striker extra deck monster, despite Shizuku being the most expensive out of all of them. Kagari is obviously the best. Speaking of the Shizuku, we do, of course, play 3, because why not? Card's really, really good. I love Shizuku. It's probably, like, Kagari is the best, but Shizuku's probably my favorite, not going to lie. Being able to search in the end phase is very, very powerful, and the attack reduction occasionally comes up for your opponent's monsters where it's actually relevant. Not as much as you'd think, but sometimes it does. Then I play 3 Hayate. Some people will play 2. I think that's completely incorrect. I like playing 3. I like to get greedy with this card and do as much as I possibly can, and it definitely works out for you when you get a little greedy with this card, because you need to just keep poking your opponent for 15 a few turns in a row before trying to swing in and kill him. Then for the other strikers, we play 1 Kaina and 1 Zeke. Kaina and Zeke are pretty good. The Kaina usually would just come up in time, primarily, but there are a lot of times where you can use it too to stop your opponent from like OTKing you, which is actually very relevant. So keep in mind that's kind of an important thing. And then the Zeke, obviously the spot removal portion of things is fantastic. So just in case some people don't know what Zeke does, you guys can pause the video and read it there. But yeah, I think that overall playing these is very, very important. The cool thing with the Zeke is you can just link it off afterwards to like end on a Shizuku, which is actually pretty good. That's all the Striker Link monsters, though. We play 4 non-Sky Striker Links. First one would be Hida. This is really, really good considering we have the Kagari in here. Like, this actually comes up pretty frequently. And seeing most people are main decking Ash Blossom, you can probably summon something back from your opponent's graveyard, which is also pretty important. So I think Hida is fully worth it. And I play a Unicorn. I don't play Phoenix. I didn't think it was necessary. I think the Unicorn gets the job done. Getting rid of cards and being a Link 3 is also very important for other stuff in the extra deck. Then we play 1 copy of Ningirsu. This card gets rid of Dragoon, which is also very important because nobody likes to deal with Dragoon. So Ningirsu does have that purpose, which is fantastic. And it's 2,500 attack, which is actually pretty beefy, not gonna lie. The last card that we play is, of course, the Access Code Talker, which you probably could have guessed when I said we have other things that the Nightmare Unicorn helps out. You make the Unicorn, then you get another monster on your field, and then you just link them off. And then you have a 5,300 Access Code Talker that has at least 1 pop. So Access Code is very, very powerful. Obviously, we all know that already. But I think this card is just fantastic in this deck. Especially if you could just use, like, Hayate Beatdown for, like, 2 turns in a row. It's pretty sweet. That is the entirety of the extra deck, though. We're going to hop on over to the side and look at the cool and fun ratios that I have set out for you. Alrighty, so we are now on to our side deck. We've gone through the main and we've gone through the extra. Now it's time to take a look at the things that we bring in against other matchups that, you know, kind of have to be handled. So obviously, you can guess that there are some hand traps. One of them would be 3 Nibiru. This is starting to fade out of relevancy, which I don't necessarily agree with. Like, I get there are some decks where the Nibiru doesn't do much, but I still think that having this as an interruption is extremely important because there are plenty of matchups where it actually does come up. So Nibiru, in my opinion, is fully worth playing. Then we have 3 Artifact Lancia. This card, if you guys have been watching my videos or keeping up with any of my videos, I've been side decking this card for a very long time. I think this card is one of the best side deck cards overall. Lancia just really does work for you, so definitely recommend it because it counters almost every single bit of the meta, which is even crazier. Then the last card that we have is 3 Droll and Lockbird. I think that this card also has a significant amount of relevancy in this format, being able to cut your opponent off from doing a ridiculous amount of searching, which your, you know, Dogmatica and Invoked decks are going to do a lot of, and Dragon Link too. So being able to use Droll to kind of slow your opponent down from playing the game, it's very relevant. And it's probably good that you slow them down too. That way you can actually just play through their field. Then we play 3 Dark Ruler No More. I think that Dark Ruler is a fantastic card in this deck for kind of countering things that your opponent could do. I think that, you know, being able to stop them from negating all of your spell cards that you would get to play through their board is also very important. I just think that there are obviously cards that can do other things too against other decks in the meta, but unfortunately, like cards like Forbidden Droplet, Droplet doesn't like have a lot of synergy in this striker deck. It's not as good as something like Dark Ruler would be. So we have to stick with the Dark Rulers, unfortunately, even though I think that Droplet is overall a better card. And the last cards that we play are 2 Lightning Storm and 1 Feather Duster. You guys have probably seen this in a lot of my side decks by now. I think that this is pretty good to play, whether you're main decking it or side decking it. If you're playing Dinos, you're probably main decking this, so I don't even have to say anything there because we already know that's how Dinos like to play. But having the option for back row or monster removal and then just more back row removal is absolutely fantastic. And I couldn't really say much more as to how great it is to have more cards to get rid of your opponent's cards. So that basically wraps up the entirety of the Sky Striker deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that notification bell too. That way you know when I'm posting videos and, you know, the fact that you should just watch them, because why wouldn't you watch the videos? They're fantastic. But we are almost at 700 subscribers. We're extremely close, so I appreciate it, you guys. It is really just fantastic to see the channel grow this much in like a year. I'm shocked that we've, I think we've like tripled our subscriber count in like a year roughly, which is crazy. So I'm gonna keep doing good things for everyone and trying to give you guys the best content possible. But as I always say, you know, make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what you think. And for right now, this is Team Yugi Phils signing out.